us. Okay, I think we're gonna start. So hello, everybody. I'm Sanel Breslov. I'm the Director of Fairs and Editions at Printed Matter. Welcome to the second program in a new series that is expanding on 4 new online projects commissioned for the occasion of Printed Matter and Exile Books publisher section at NADA Miami, which happened last December. We hope you'll join us each Tuesday of this month to learn more about the creative development of these digitally native publishing projects. We had a wonderful conversation last Tuesday with Afila C, which is online now, archived, and this program is also going to be recorded. I'll go through all that in a minute. I'm very pleased to welcome this evening Tae-hee Wang and Jung Lee of Hyperlink Press and Samantha Kinner of Yellow Pearl Zines. Thank you for joining us. Tonight's conversation will focus on strategies and tactics for organizing equitable zine fairs and how these decisions can help define community and care. Special thanks to the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation for its tremendous support of the dynamic online presence of Printed Matter and Exile Books at the NADA Miami 2021, including the commissions of the 4 online projects and this month's program series. I welcome everybody to please visit artistbooksmiami.org to engage directly with these programs and learn more about the entire Printed Matter and Exile Books at NADA Miami production. And just a few notes before we begin the conversation. Please feel free to say hi in the chat. I already see some of you doing this. Tell us where you're listening from. Please say hi. If you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A section of the Zoom or in the comments. We'll have some time toward the end of the program to answer any questions or open up space for discussion. And if you'd like to watch this with closed captions, please click on the link in the chat, which will direct you to our YouTube channel where the program is also being live streamed and includes auto-generated captions. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much.
Oh, are we starting? Yeah, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Tae-hee Wang. I use they, them pronoun, and I'm part of Hyperlink Press. I am wearing purple and black fleece, and I have long black hair that's tied up in the back. And also I'm currently part of the Zoom call from Lenape Land and Manhattan. So yeah. Jung, do you want to introduce yourself? And we can maybe introduce Hyperlink Press really briefly. Yeah.
Hi, I am John from Hyperlink Press. I am part of Hyperlink Press, like I said, and I'm zooming in from also Lenape Land or Queens, and I'm an Asian person in middle glasses wearing black shirt and with black hair. And Sam, you can go, I guess.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Samantha Skinner, and I am the creator of Yellow Pearls Zine, and I got to collaborate on putting together Emergence Zine Fair with Hyperlink. I'm half Asian and wearing a gray shirt. I have bangs and long hair, calling in from Brooklyn, Lenape Lands. We're covering some of the boroughs here in New York. And so excited to talk more about how we put this together, things that we learned and took away.
Yeah, maybe we can give a little bit of scroll down of the website, and I can also introduce Hyperlink Press, kind of very rough like sketch of like what was our intention behind hosting the Zine Fair in collaboration with Sam, Yellow Pearl Zine, and like so many other vendors and collaborators. Yeah, so Hyperlink Press. So we are bilingual queer Korean zine collective. There are like 4 of us at the moment, and we are all like based in like different places. Jong and I and Chris, who is not part of this talk, we are based in New York, and we have other member Minsu, who's based in Boston. And the main like source of inspiration of Hyperlink Press was a cyber lesbian utopia city project back in 2000 called LB City, and I think it asked like important question of like what does it mean to like build utopia for lesbian who, but also inviting other people who are not lesbian in the community. So I feel like that kind of imposed a lot of question of like financial equitability, and also like how do we like share living spaces. And I think that also like fundamentally kind of brought us to question of like, okay, like how do we also implement the ideology in like zine practice that we are doing, and like that kind of based on collaboration and mutual respect basically. And I feel like it's like really important to address like actual like resource to like supplement our effort, you know. But yeah. Oh, I saw we were going through the website. I was just
Thank you. But still, yeah, this is the website, by the way, based on the Emergence Zine Fair that happened just a few months ago, and I just happened to design the website, and we sort of created and compiled all the text-based data and resources and the process just to share all those, and in kind of like a book format. So you can sort of click on the tabs, quote unquote tabs here, and like Tay said, it's everything here is about the process, and also the text shared by Tae and also Sam in organizing the zine fair, and also thinking about accessibility and fair compensation for artists who make zines and their work and their labor. And you can kind of like click on the tabs to see, like, this is a table of contents where the intro chapter, this is by Tehi, and we will explain more, by the way, about the details. And the survey here is the interviews that we did, and we gathered from some of the participants of the fair.
Oh, I think I think we should have brought up about Emergence Zine Fair to like contextualize the data and like the writing that we put in the website.
Oh, yeah, like people.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about how we planned Emergence Zine Fair and what it was exactly.
Yeah.
So I made Yellow Pearl Zine, which I have a copy here. I'm doing pre-orders right now. And this is a zine that I put together as a part of my thesis at NYU in the Integrated Digital Media program. And I was really exploring mental health and Asian femmes in America. And the statistics are very awful. I feel like I don't come across them a lot in conversations. And so it was a lot for me to learn about the high rates of anxiety, depression, suicide, low rates of seeking help. And I gathered all of this information, like research, resources, interviews into a zine, but it was all in academia. And so when it came time to really wanting to get this out into the world, I was trying to find people to meet in New York, and I was introduced to Hyperlink Press, and they immediately opened their arms to me. They were very welcoming, and we started talking about all the ways that we could collaborate. They actually published my first zine, and then for the second one, we decided to apply to funding together Oh no, we actually applied separately, but we both decided to apply for funding to put an event together. And we realized in their goals to uplift emerging zine artists and make an accessible space for these newer zine artists, and in my kind of goal of uplifting Asian femmes in the community and bringing community around these kind of conversations that don't happen a lot publicly, there was this through line that we found, which was this like metaphor of emerging. And so we got together, put the Zine Fair together, and compiled basically every step of what we did into this website. So I know Jung is like showing you kind of the table of contents, but if you dig in there, chapter 1 has all of hyperlinks, all of their steps and documents, and chapter 2 has all of my steps that focus a little bit more on the event programming, while they focus a little bit more on the Zine Fair organization part of it. And so we seriously like did not want to gatekeep anything here. I feel like it's definitely a part of both of our ethos and our projects to share resources. And so we have like our budget here, we have our project schedule, timelines, like all of the number of meetings we took. And we also included takeaways of what we're going to incorporate in our next one, which we're actually planning for May, fingers crossed. We're applying for funding right now. So
Yeah.
It all came together into an incredible event. And yeah, take it away, Taehi.
I think this was all possible. We're very fortunate to like have like the right team and like a right spirit to like pull through it too. Not only that we really put our heart and hard work in it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe like from here we can like go and look at the presentation that we just compiled, and we can like revisit like the talking point. But most of the talking points that we're gonna talk tonight is all available on the website. So please like scroll through and revisit, and please share. Okay. Oh, John, I think you need to stop sharing the website so for me to share the presentation. Oh, thank you. Give me one moment. Ooh, okay. How to emerge.
Yay.
Yay. Yeah, I feel like when Sam also reached out, I feel like we're Hyperlink Press, like we're still like kind of like emerging, like zinemaker. I feel like even though we've been part of the zine community, New York City zine community for 2-3 years, and we were really excited by Sam's project, and we were like, okay, this is like perfect opportunity. We happened to got funding at the time a little bit to publish another zine, and we decided to, okay, like let's do 50-50 like collaboration effort. And our first project went well, so we decided, hey, what about we like organize a zine fair together? Because like Hyperlink Press, we kind of always like thought about, wow, it would be like really cool to like host some kind of like zine community get together, because I feel like with like long like pandemic, everything is virtual, and I think there's a wonderful part about virtual zine fair, but also like I think a lot of people are like craving for like in-person like zine interaction. I feel like last summer and early fall, I've seen that, and there has been a lot of like joyful reunion about it. So yeah, I guess like one of the intent was just like idea of like, okay, like we are all kind of emerging. What does it mean to be emerging artist and zine maker? And I think like I was wondering like if you can like work together to actually create a zine fair where vendors get paid and everybody's being safe.
You mean vendors aren't always paid?
Yeah, like also like because like it's a question, like if you are at like a visiting artist talk, if you're being invited to some kind of conference, like there is an honorarium of some sort. But I personally haven't been to a zine fair, that pays me unless I'm part of like an event, which is also really like a huge thing too. But I was like always questioning, why is it normalized for zine vendors like presents are like a little bit more given, or even why do they have to pay for table fee for high amount of money? But like, which makes sense sometimes, like you have to pay the venue and also like administrative like labor for sure. But a lot of like because like I feel like oftentimes zine is marketed as a very accessible medium, but also at the same time, a lot of the emerging zine makers are putting like investing a lot of their own time and resource to get their work out in the world. So that part personally also like as like a zine maker, I've kind of like had a question for a while, but also like I got really inspired by a lot of other like zine organizers. Like I always think about like Brooklyn Art Book Fair, how they like also like not that only they provided free table, but also like gave like great survey of like how did we do in the zine fair? Like how much money did you guys make? Did you guys feel supported? So I'm just like, wow, this if like experience I will definitely remember. And yeah, I think I kind of covered the two talking points. Like
Definitely. And yeah, so it was cool for me to learn more about this equitable zine fair model, because I'm a brand new zine artist. I've been producing media here in New York as a filmmaker, but this is my first time getting into kind of printing and published media. And so to be able to be a part of the zine fair where I got to see these other artists being paid to be there, and we were also able to make tickets free. So people were coming, and instead of paying for that ticket, they're getting to support the artists. So all of our vendors did really well. Everybody, like the energy was very high. And
oops, my bad.
oh, it's all good. And so, yeah, when I think about the Equitable Zine Fair model, it's partly the funding. It's partly the kind of relationship that you're having as an organizer with the artist, and having that transparency of like what we can provide you, checking in, how can we do things better, following up. And also, I think we'll talk about this a little bit later too, but really being intentional about making the space safe, and letting people know that things like racism, homophobia, anything against like disabilities would not be tolerated. And we had volunteers with yellow bandanas, so it was very easy to tell who was working the event in case you needed any sort of assistance. So that's just what I wanted to add there.
Maybe next, I guess like we can also like talk about funding and resources. And like, so Sam and we both applied to New York City Artists Corps grant from NYFA, and we did apply it separately. So for Hyperlink Press, we applied under, we want to host a zine fair where we can actually pay the vendor based on their need. So we proposed that we want to pay artists based on their need from $150 to $300, and also help them also create their new publication if they have a title that they want to like publish. And for programming side, so Sam, do you want to talk about it? Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and so what I applied for was more on the community aspect of Asian programming, and bringing a space together for Asian Americans, Asian femmes to come and kind of channel these hard emotions that have been building up over the past couple of years. We all know there's been many attacks on our community, and especially for a community that does not often get to talk about mental health without it feeling stigmatized. And I don't want to generalize, but this is like what I have experienced, and many people that I've talked to as well have experienced. I think it was really important to have a space that the intention was to come and share experiences, feel validated, and get to channel these feelings too, while surrounded by other people who have these similar values, similar interests. And so I got to fly a couple of artists, or fly an artist out and have an artist participate virtually as well, who led a workshop and a panel. And I also included all of my kind of thoughts and steps in planning those kind of events on the website as well. So if y'all are wanting to do some programming, you should definitely check that out too.
Yeah, and also we included some of other like relatable funding opportunities. I feel like I'm also like kind of mildly checking the chat too. Like I feel like all of this organizing, like yeah, like grant writing, like so much like proposal and like after we send out, and then like also like when we hear back, it's really exciting. But also like I'm also like questioning like what does it mean to like relying on this like big funding from either like government or like or corporate. I feel like yeah, I mean like honestly like I guess like we can talk about it as like is it a some sort of some form of like the redistribution, but also like is it a or are we like potentially being like bound by this like funding? So like I also like kind of like started to think about like what are the ways like other ways of like where we can like fund things together other than like relying on big grant, which is still very important. Honestly, I don't think we would have able to like pull this event off if we didn't got the NIFA grant, honestly. And then so like we started to think about revenues and profit and like grassroots and crowdfunding. So like for our end of finance, we are able to like support the vendors, and for our administrative effort, we just like we decided not to like calculate it by hourly because we're not sure like how much hour of like admin we'll put into this 11-week preparation. And we decided, okay, we're just gonna break it down as honorarium. We'll have this chunk of money, so that will like roughly cover our effort, which when I sat down and did a calculation, didn't really quite cover it, but you know what? I think it was a good sum of money that I feel happy about. But now I'm guessing, so if you're really trying to make this like, I mean, we had 12 vendors, so it's a pretty small like zine fair, 1-day zine fair, but still like, how do we like, it would be I thought this could be a really interesting challenge. Like if we could like actually pay the vendors and also like cover all the administrative and volunteer costs as well. So like, what are the ways we can like make revenues and profit, and what are the ways of like grassroots and crowdfunding? I think that's also like something I've seen it in other like zine fair models, like doing like raffles and like auctions of the artwork and also crowdfunding. But yeah, I kind of talk all the points.
Yeah, no, I know that. I feel like that's why we wanted to have this funding slide so early on in the presentation, because we wanted to be very transparent. Like, yeah, of course, we all want something like an equitable zine fair, but the elephant in the room is like, how do you make that happen with funding? And at least in this experience, you know, having this like group of people I'm working with, we were encouraging each other to apply for things, like celebrating when each other does get things, and sharing any other open calls, any funding opportunities that are happening. So we just wanted to in turn share that with you all as well. So these are some that are actually open right now that we're working on applying to.
And I just wanted to add one more in terms of like, I feel like grant writing is like such a like scary and daunting like task. It comes up as like very like daunting task because like you have to like speak certain like language to like make your proposal like believable. And I think it was like for Hyperlink Press, and like we definitely had like other like we had friends who read and copy edited our like writings, and I feel like that was like also like good like community effort, honestly.
Yes, same here.
Yeah. Okay, slide. Collaboration, that's a really good segue.
Yeah.
To that. Yeah.
So like, this was our team. This was our team and our vendors.
I miss
that
was such a good day. Like but yeah, so like basically I think organizing that zine fair specifically, like Yellow Pearl Zine was also very like emerging like zine fair with like really like vibrant like community organizing programming idea. So we wanted to also support that. And also Hyperlink Press, I think we're still kind of considered as like emerging artists or zine makers. And we also know that there are multiple other like new zine makers who are not quite into the zine fair circuit, or emerging artists who want to make zine but don't know where to start, or like how to like offset the cost of printing. So we wanted to like prioritize people, reaching out to people. But like we also had very tight like turnaround time. We only had like roughly 6 weeks to like spread the word out for vendor, I think. So we were like, okay, like there is no way we're gonna pull off open call. So we just had to like do like word of mouth for like the time's sake because of the grant requirement. That's, I think, so like I guess like earlier when we talked about like contractually binding to like grant, I think that's all kind of like thing that I noticed. Okay, like I have to make this happen by a certain date. So we just like spread like word of mouth, like through Instagram stories or DMs, like, hey, if you know any like zine makers or emerging, or like want to publish a new zine, like please share the word. We want to give them honorarium and also sponsor the zine fair. And through that way, we actually met a lot of new people. Also, like we knew a couple people who haven't really formally collaborated, that we never really officially met, but we just like cold message them, just like, hey, we love your work, and we would love to like have you in this project and zine fair. And yeah, and that was kind of how we reached out to people. And like some of them, we initially send out a survey of questions like what are the needs, like, are you publishing a new zine? Do you need any help with that? And what are the accessibility concerns? These are what we can provide based on the space. We are trying to be transparent as much as possible. And then usually if they had concern, or like if they needed assistance, they started like email communication with us basically. But yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I can pick up on this last point here. Yeah, I can't underscore enough like how amazing it's been to get to know Hyperlink and work with them. I feel like I was going from like not knowing how to print, like literally not knowing how to print my zine, to having 100 copies available to give away for free because of this grant at an amazing event. And that just felt so good to me. And, you know, they really allowed me like be free to plan the programming on my end. And so we had a, if you could go to the slide actually for event programming.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. And then we could come back to the quotes.
Yes.
So I got to program a workshop where we turned this like work shed warehouse into a chill meditative space, and had
Sorry, my bad.
No, it's okay. Had Yumi Sakagawa, interdisciplinary artist, comic book writer, self-help book author, fly out from California to lead the Sacred Rage Goddess activity that she had actually written and contributed to my second zine that I was releasing. And the zine, the topic, I think I mentioned this, was on channeling rage. We also had a panel conversation. You can see the picture on the right, where we brought in Kuan Yin, who's up on the projector, and got to talk with Tehi as well. And I have like all of my notes on how to do this kind of setup, like workflow for your event, if you want to do that on the website as well. But yeah, it was incredible to have like this captive audience for this. I remember looking up from the panel and just seeing this crowded room of New Yorkers all being super quiet and paying full attention. I was like, wow, what an incredible moment for like Asian femmes and visibility with these intense emotions, and, you know, really getting to the heart of Yellow Pearls. So yeah, that was what I wanted to say about the events programming, just getting this chance to flesh out my voice, to lead this and then have it go so well, have people come up afterwards and, you know, either say like, this is something I never thought about. Like I had, you know, a white man come up to me and say like, I was almost in tears. I was taking notes the whole time. And of course, having Asian femmes come up and say like, wow, I've done an essay on rage and Asian femmes. And I'm like, oh my God, you are my people. Please send that to me. And yeah, that was just incredible, especially after the pandemic and just not getting to be a part of these kind of public events. And so we have something on safety. I think that would be great to talk about. We also have some quotes from people who participated.
We have quotes and organizing. We kind of touch upon. We can also revisit some of the website later. So yeah, we can talk about safety.
Yeah.
Once again, like all of this like contents are like on the Emergence Zine Fair website. Basically kind of like our own takeaway of like how to organize like Equitable Zine Fair. But yeah, so like I guess like our main question about the safety, not only like pandemic regulation, but also like in a zine fair and space gathering, like how many people can we safely and joyfully host in one space was like our main question. So our main venue, our venue and also like collaborator was co-op studio based in Brooklyn called Soft Surplus. And basically we got really locked out because oftentimes a lot of like events like have hard time finding venue, but because Hyperlink Press, we're a part of their studio member. So we were able to use their common space and open it up for public event. And basically on the website, there is a diagram of like how many people can we fit, like how many table can we physically fit. Like we were like playing around on Figma and it's like kind of like calculating, okay, this is like space allotted to us and how can you actually fit in like 6 feet table, and then how many people can you actually place on 6 feet table. Like, so based on that calculation, then we kind of had an idea how many people we can like actually give funding to. And
we also had door people that were checking, you know, COVID vaccination and also counting people as they were coming in. So we had our max capacity, but throughout the day we had like 300 people come throughout the day.
Yeah. And also like we also try to decide like how many people can we let in like per at the same time. So we decided the number would be 50. And even like with that, like was like a capped number of people, like we got 300 people, and like people are lining up, and I'm just like, how is this happening? Wow, people are maybe really craving for this kind of like physical interaction. But yeah, like all of our vendors and visitors they had to show their proof of vaccination. And also I think like having volunteers who are able to like be the point person of where they can like say that we're an organizer and we would like to like, if you need any like help or assistance, we're the point person. And especially like for vendors, like I feel like especially if you're tabling by yourself, you need like someone to like watch your table while you're taking a break, eating food. So like we're trying to be like conscious of like, do you need water? Do you need food? If you need like take a break at the vendor break room, like please do so. So yeah,
having that care for the artists and everybody's energy level throughout the day and making sure that they're eating, because it's easy to forget to eat during a busy event.
Yeah, and also like in terms of accessibility, like so the space is already set up, and before we decided on the layout, we asked the vendor, hey, so there are some like stairs and ramps, like are you concerned about certain situation, or would you like, do you need any like accessibility concern? And then based on the survey we got back from, like we're able to like decide on the layout of the Zine Fair basically. So yeah. Should we visit the quote or look at the website?
I feel like sharing the quotes would be nice.
Yeah, okay.
Just hearing from the other end, like the artists who are involved.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we, for this website project, that Print and Matter invited us, and I really thought it was a perfect way to like share what we thought about hosting an Equitable Zine Fair. And this is like not in a way of like criticizing like paid zine fair. Obviously, I think it's like I think it's more of like a way we can contemplate about what are the ways where we can like in our own like small capacity to where everybody kind of wins together basically. So I feel like yeah, like I honestly think like some of the paid zine fairs, like these are like some of the zine fair table fee like makes sense. Like it's difficult to host like event.
Yeah.
And in a way, you have to cover some realistic like things like space and like labor to make this happen. And often vendors, like depending, like they are able to make some profit, but I feel like with emerging artists, that's like a lot at the stake because a lot of their beginning like funding are based on the production and transportation without like proper guarantee that will like actually like cover that cost. So so yeah, like so we were able to like interview like 6 of our participant of the zine fair. So yeah, so I'm gonna read this out loud. Should we like all like read all like 7 quote I think total? Yeah, Claire.
Well, we have about 5 minutes.
Oh, cool. So yeah, let's quickly do that. Yeah. The physical production of the zine is truly a labor of love. If you were to put an hourly wage onto the production process of a zine or book, I cannot even imagine how much zine would actually cost. It seems almost unquantifiable to me, but the time aspect of production seems to be the area in need of most need of equity. Claire is saying, and the other, oh yeah, this is separate. Okay, I think that we need to have a better system of networking and research sharing in the art world. So many opportunities are word of mouth, but what about the artists that are less networked? They deserve support too. This is really important for non-traditional artists, like ones that haven't gone to art school, and Black, Indigenous, and Latinx people. And oops, and I need to move this window. Okay, I feel most welcome when the organizers are transparent, communicative, interested in a relationship beyond the single event, and above all, willing to provide care for their vendors that includes accessibility needs, as well as simple nourishment like food and water for the long hours that we're tabling. Some me, who makes amazing comic book. And then Alfred. I feel most welcome when my time is compensated. To be welcomed in my eyes is to be greeted, understood, and nourished. When I'm remunerated for my time and effort and I'm shown recognition, I feel safer and granted higher agency as a creative. I feel like I'm being nurtured rather than the usual torture and disrespect of table fees and applications. And giving exhibitor a voice or a seat at the organizing table, if desired, so decision can be made equally, especially in terms of how funding is used and how the event is advertised, presented, and contextualized. And then even through the workshop, focus on what it means to be an Asian femme at the Emergence Zine Fair, many of the things discussed resonated with me as a Latina. It was also refreshing to see femme taking the lead and doing the majority of the speaking. I've seen how easy it is for men to speak over women in both creative and activist realms. Doing the work to make people of all backgrounds feel seen and represented is so important, and more artistic space should be doing that work. And then I think the next one, oh yeah. Sam, do you want to read this?
Oh, sure. So this is from Kuan Yin, who's a part of the panel. It was so special to share space and feel how connected we are at our core, to remember you're not alone, and that healing happens when we dare to share and create from the core of truth and love. In the ongoing struggle to evolve beyond our inherited oppressive limitations, with deeper understanding, I felt a massive surge of new optimism and healing this day.
Amazing. Yeah. Also, like, we can also talk about what's next, and then, but I also want to point out how important like celebration as like a full like organizing team was.
Yeah, we had a big dance party at the end.
Yeah, like we had like 2 DJs who like I love one of the DJ, Vanessa, like she was like, oh yeah, I specifically made my playlist like on the theme of emergence, letting out rage. I'm just like, I love that. Let's do it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like not only is this hard work to plan and long hours, but it also, when you're like trying to change things that are based on like power dynamics and oppressive systems, it's hard work emotionally as well. And so we were all exhausted at the end, but yeah, the celebration got real turned up. It was so fun.
Yeah, and I also just like seeing all the people like having really great time. I feel like, wow, I feel so rewarded.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also like to able to like work with like all the like great collaborators to pull this off. Yeah.
And Oh Hyung, our
Oh my
second
God,
DJ.
Oh Young's amazing number. The Totoro remix.
I know. Okay.
But oh, okay. So like maybe we can like briefly talk about what next, and then we can like look at the
Go to our
final
questions.
slide and like look at the website once again.
Great.
But yeah, so we're hoping to host more like Zine Fair. It can be more like collaborative model, or it can be more like workshop and programming like centric, maybe like a satellite format. But we're trying to apply for some grants to make it happen maybe around May, and maybe more so. It doesn't have to like abide by annual system. Like as we kind of realize, oh, if you're just trying to like keep it equitable and just trying to focus on emerging artists, maybe like small scale events could like work as like a satellite project. But yeah.
Yes, Emergence Zine Fair will be coming back.
Yes.
And yeah, just wanted to end here, opening up the Q&A. And also here are our Instagrams and hyperlinks email on my website, so you can follow along with us. I do have pre-orders available for Zine 2 right now. So yeah, would love to have some help offsetting the printing costs there to do with our conversation. But
thanks so
thank
much
you.
thanks so much for sharing that, everyone. And also thanks to everyone that's been chiming in on the chat. It's so cool to see how many other Zine Fair organizers are also kind of sharing their 2 cents and asking questions and just participating. I'm going to moderate the Q&A a little bit. I imagine there's lots of little questions in the chat and also in the Q&A for the webinar. So the first question someone asked is, are you judgmental of fairs where the organizers charge stall holders a table fee?
No. Not, I mean, like, I think I maybe mentioned it during the talk earlier too. Like, I feel like, I feel like we are able to like definitely pull this off with this amount of preparation time and like funding, because it was a very small scale Zine Fair that was 1 day. And I feel like some of the other Zine Fair, they serve different purpose and different audience, and like coming from working with like different realities of where they're coming from. Like, so I feel like where we're trying to like cover and like provide the best setting for both like admin and vendors, like everybody has like different ways. That's kind of how I see it. But I feel like coming from like maybe vendor perspective, I think it can be questioned like, how are we, but I think like moving towards more like equitable like platform is also like effort that we should like, and conversation we should be on like ongoing. Yeah.
I also personally I think it also depends on what fair it is, but I think a lot of like big fairs, I think I was just personally grumpy, and also I'm very lazy. So I think this kind of gesture of like, because I kind of felt like this kind of having needing like the resources in order to produce more resources, I in the first place I need like the resources. So like it's kind of like the catch-22 situation. And I think this kind of gesture would mean like so much to me if I and also like as emerging artists, I sort of just like work together, and I also was delayed a lot on my own zine production because I had to work and make money, and then just having to like create on my own, like reserve that time for my own studio making. It's like so hard to balance. So that's what like why we sort of like got together to like, oh, this like let's do this like trial zine fair. And I'm really happy to have like be part of like the Hyperlink and also work with Yellow Pearls.
Two other kind of maybe a little bit more technical questions that people had were if you paid honorarium to artists before the fair to maybe help with production for things that they were working on to show at the fair. And then to dovetail on that, did you pay yourselves? And I think part of that question is also, did that pay feel equitable as organizers of the fair? And I guess more long-term, they're asking, do you see a way to run this type of fair long-term while paying staff and avoiding the cycles of burnout that come with nonprofit work and relying on grants?
Yeah, these are all very important questions, and also like things that we were navigating and still kind of navigating too. So in terms of honorarium, so yes, moment. So we mentioned it to participating vendor that if they need like honorarium like immediately for printing, because we had only like 2.5 week window of announcing back to the vendor and like also getting the honorarium. And also obviously when getting a check from the grant, there was like also like a delay, like we're not sure when we're actually getting the fund back from them. So we're like, if you need a fund now, like please contact us. And like we were trying to like send it out as soon as possible for like people who are printing out the new zine or in a kind of like emergency situation. Luckily, we got the fund at the right time, so able to pay out most of the vendor before the fair. And second question about the honorarium, maybe Sam and I can like talk more about it. Because like when we first got our grant, we talked about, okay, how much do we want to like take portion of like the labor we are putting into this? Because like we are not sure how much like hour we are going to put into this project, although we kind of had rough idea, like, okay, like we're going to have bi-weekly meeting at certain day, like doing admin work. But also like other than that, but we were not really sure how much like physical labor we are going to do, like on the like weeks of preparing the physical zine site. So we were like, okay, let's just like take it as an honorarium. Like Hyperlink Press, like we are taking like roughly like, I think from Sam was covering one of Chris's administrative hour by paying Hyperlink 700, and also like I think from our $5,000 grant, we just took portion of like $1,000 that covered our admin. So that was like roughly 1,700. And Sam wanted to take the portion, and also on top of like, I remember you also wanted to cover your zine production fee.
Yeah, so I got to cover costs of printing 100 copies of the zine to be given out for free, and that was part of my grant application, because I want these zines to be accessible. So I was like really happy that I could just give them away like that. And then I was counting my hours as I went. We're going to be like more informed going into the second time, but since it was the first time, we weren't sure. And I remembered being like really nervous about putting $1,000 down for myself. But like, honestly, the work that I did definitely was worth $1,000. And I kind of got a gut check from Hyperlink too about
I was
that.
like, Sam, yeah, no, take that.
I know, I'm like, is this? So I felt happy with how much I got paid. I felt like it was fair. And I think it is a really good practice to pay yourself, because as a producer, this comes up on a lot of my other projects too. It's like the director producer will just like pay everybody else, but then you're burnt out, and it's kind of this like scarcity thinking. So so I was really happy with that.
Yeah, but also I feel like both vendor and also us, like at the day of the zine fair, we actually like made a lot of the money back. So like honorarium was basically like intending for emerging zine artists to like cover their production cost and like transportation. And I think based on the survey we sent out after the zine fair, most of the people like made all the money back for production fees. So like they made $400 to $900 to like $1,000, like more than. So like that, I thought that was, I think like also like once you have like a little like security of like, I'm going to make this money back, or like I don't have to worry about like covering this fee that day, I think like it really like helps like people relax. I think that really helped a lot. But what was the other question? Okay, long term. I hope so. I think like Emergence Zine Fair is like has to be very specific. I don't think like if we wanted to also move forward to where we are both compensating the admin and also vendor, I don't know, maybe we'll, unless like we get like really crazy funding, I think the most realistically we want to provide this like honorarium to like emerging artists, like emerging zine maker who haven't really made like zines or like haven't participated in the zine fair circuit. And I think like also like that's also how Hyperlink Press got really entered into the zine fair too, because like we were Michael Caine awardee like about 2 years ago, and that was how we were also like break into the lot of artist book like field. So that was like, so that kind of like support specifically uplifting emerging zine maker is probably what we are trying to head towards, and maybe like have better system other than like relying on like word of mouth. It's maybe like one of the more administrative goal we have too. So yeah, we'll see. But and also like it's helpful that we are like kind of like trying to make it as like this could be a pop-up event, this can be satellite event, like it's still very open and loose. We're just friends who likes organizing.
Okay, yeah, we work really well together.
Yeah. Another question that's come up that Ari asks is, how do you translate this equity into disability access during the COVID pandemic? And maybe I can also extend that beyond the pandemic. Like how does disability justice and access intersect with maybe your idea and implementation of equity? So they ask, what are y'all's COVID's protocols in the Zine Fest? What advice do you have for other Zine Fests that are organizing events during the pandemic? I know of zinesters who can't even continue mail order because of COVID, is what they said.
This is a helpful question.
Yeah. I feel like, Sam, I think part of the zine that we, zine organizing that we did, the online programming really like was a huge part of it, because I remember like on the chat, people are commenting about that.
Yeah, so we included a live stream for the event for people that, you know, either couldn't make it because of COVID, because of ability and access, or because of not being in New York. And that, you know, that's a difficult setup to get going. But like I said, I included how we did that in the website, so people can definitely take a look at that and, you know, ask questions. I have like an audio video background, so between me and like 2 other people, we were able to get that set up. And when it came to COVID, we're definitely very serious about it. There's some members on our team who have chronic illnesses, and just really wanting to be careful. You know, we don't want to be the event that's like a super spreader event. And so masks were highly encouraged, which I was skeptical if like that would be enough, if people would just be like, okay, cool, take their mask off. But I think because all of our staff and vendors and artists were wearing masks, it like set a tone for audience, and everyone was wearing a mask. And we checked proof of vaccination at the door. We will be checking proof of boost as well at future events. And, you know, having somebody counting the capacity that was there to make sure it was never too many people. We had our garage door open so that there was airflow. And, you know, we also had people that it was like very clearly marked that they were working the event in case anybody needed help.
I need extra mask even.
Yeah. And yeah, and I know that like when y'all were working with the artists getting things set up, like part of the survey was like if there were any sort of like accessibility, you know, needs, questions, so that could be incorporated while we were planning things. Instead of it being like an oh shit thought at the event or something like that. But if there's any suggestions that people have, that was like partly what we were hoping to come away with too, is what people would like to see added to this equitable zine model.
And also, like, I feel like in terms of working with vendors, like, I feel like most idealistic world, like, I want to provide like full accessibility, like, and also like not like compromise anything to people who are part of this event, for instance. And as an able-bodied person, I'm like, okay, like, and within my capacity of this like venue and like people we are working with, I think it was best to like ask the people we are working with to like, what do you need? And these are what we have, but we want to make this possible like for all of us. And what's the best way we can like coordinate that? And I think that just like honestly communicating was like the easiest way for us. I feel like so yeah.
Sweet. Thanks for answering those questions so well. And also bouncing the question back to the group, like, what do you want to see in this equitable fair model? The other question that a few people have asked is about marketing and turnout and audience. Hannah asks, I would love to hear more about how y'all work to consider turnout audience marketing. Hi, Hannah. Especially since you are working to support emerging artists who might not already have large publics followings to pull from. So often sales and circulations is a real goal for many artists, but in my experience, bigger fairs with high attendance can bring in audiences that aren't always safe and engaged. If you're able to compensate artists, I'm wondering if and how that took pressure off high attendance to drive sales and allow the fair to focus more on celebration, community, and safety. Thanks all. So nourishing.
Oh, what a wonderful question. I want to copy paste that somewhere.
Hannah's the best. Oh my God. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, like I mean, as like a past like and still part of like a zine fair vendor, obviously not all interaction with the audience is most idealistic. There's been definitely like parts where I feel uncomfortable, and when I was put into that position in my personal experience, it was always important, like, do I have like proper communication line with the organizer who can also like help stepping in or like keep an eye out for this particular person, just in case like this discomfort was spreading to other spaces, basically. So I think that was like very important takeaway for me as a vendor, but also like as an organizer, that's kind of also how I felt like we need to have like a point person, definitely. And sometimes when vendor experience like this kind of discomfort, it's like hard to verbalize it. So at least like it doesn't have to be like, and sometimes like some of the interaction is just like, it's fine, whatever. But I thought it was whenever we had like our friend who's like coming in to help out the zine fair, we were like, oh, by the way, just ask about if they need any water or snack, or like if they need anything, just like casual like check-in. was like kind of way to like create like rapport.
Mhm.
But
And
yeah,
I can talk about the marketing a little bit too.
yes.
So between our team, we pulled together a lot of skills and things that we had learned from previous events. I think we had between all of us, we had some people that work on social media, work in design, have done events of all sorts before. So it was cool to just put all of our brains together. And we quickly put together a press release that we could send out. We put together a list of all of the organizations and press outlets that we were going to send it to, and delegated that between us, who's reaching out to who. And we made a flyer that we attached to the press release, and made sure to send all of this information and media to our artists as well, so that they could share. And I think that's about what we did. I mean, it's still a lot, but it was somewhat organic, just having all of our team spread the word, have the artists spread the word. And we really didn't know how many people were going to come. We were hoping like 50.
Oh my God, like
70. But we had over
first
300 people, and a lot of it was word of mouth.
yeah.
What were you going to say, Tehi? I cut you off.
No, I just had a flashback when we were proposing this event to Self Surplus. We were like, we're going to have more than 70 people, maybe.
Yeah, we were like, that
Question
might be
mark?
over. Yeah.
I think, by the way, there's like marketing part that Sam mentioned. It's also on the website under Sam's chapter, which is chapter 2, press release, event flyer, and everything.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I think like social media, and like also Chris, who also did like
Oh my gosh, shout out
played
to
a huge
Chris.
role in
Yeah.
sending out letters. And I think it's like we just we have had a really good team, and just wanted to add that because like it's all on the website, the information, if you look closely.
Yeah, and I think we have our press release on there, so if people want to refer to it.
Yeah. All open source.
Baby.
Cool. I think part of that question, I think someone had asked earlier if you could share these slides with people via email. So maybe there's a way for people to get in touch with you to see the slides.
Yeah.
And maybe the last question, as we're coming to a close, someone asked, what's one piece of advice you give your younger zine maker self with your recent experiences in mind?
Oh. Oh my God. This is a good question. Yeah. No, I feel like when I was like 4 or 5 years ago, freshly graduated from art school, just trying to like find a way to like make a project, because I didn't have studio, and I made like some kind of like web collage, and I wanted to print something, and PJ from Endless Edition was like, oh yeah, like I can help you print that. I'm just like, that kind of like generosity was like really stood out. And moment like also like personally started to join other like zine event or like any DIY event, how like just like people are just like like not that they are like very forward about it, but it just like generally really generous and kind. And that was like one thing that really stood out. And I think but also like sometimes that kind of like collaboration, sometimes because it's also like you're working with humans, sometimes all the interaction is not so ideal, but I feel like aiming for healthy like collaborative dynamic it's like an ongoing process. And like how transparency is really important. Maybe it's like something that I would like tell my younger zine self, and like and also like aspiring organizer back in the day. Yeah.
Do you know what you would tell your younger self, John?
I feel like I am still in no position to provide any life advice to like not only myself but also to others. But I think to me, I was fortunate enough to find like the community that I could really feel safe and comfortable and like in. And I think I like you just gotta make at your capacity, and I feel like if you just like, keep on doing it, like people will reach out, and you can also keep like reaching out to people, and like they're going to like listen eventually. Like I don't know, like I feel I don't know, and like I am still trying to figure out a lot of stuff on my own. Also like trying to balance like my theater practice and everything. So, yeah, but from my end, that's it's a
Yeah.
it's still emerging, like things emerging.
I like what you say though about reaching out to people, because that's, sorry if you can hear my cat in the background, but that's what I would say to my younger self probably is like to be brave and reach out to people that you look up to. And it can be in big and small ways. Yumi Sakagawa, having her as a panelist and workshop leader here was a big deal for me because that's a relationship that I've actually been, I guess, growing, nurturing for many years. I first reached out to her to just say like, can I make a project out of one of your stories, a visual project? And then it was, can you contribute to this blog post? And then can you contribute to this zine? Can I fly you out to this zine fair? And now I'm actually working with her on a book as well. And so I feel like a lot of my collaborations that I'm most excited about right now have kind of happened in that way, like continually reaching out. Maybe it's for feedback or notes on a grant or a rough draft of something, just getting to slowly know each other and trust each other. And then you get to work with these people that you really admire. And, you know, same for Hyperlink. I'm so glad to be working with them.
Well, if anyone doesn't have any other concluding remarks, I think that was a really, really sweet and heartfelt way to end. And I think this panel has been so educational, and it's been really sweet to see, yeah, like I said, how many people are in the audience and chiming in the chat and care about zine fairs and independent publishing and all that Yellow Pearl Zine and Hyperlink Press does.
Maybe I can just say one thing. I'm sorry, Sunny. I know I'm jumping.
Go for it.
I just want to kind of echo so much of what's been said. I mean, Sam, I think what you've just kind of mentioned specifically about like kind of, you know, taking an opportunity like through an event or through just being inspired by someone else's work and like reaching out to them, like, you know, prior to my current role at Print-O-Matic, I organized a small fair that started with 8 exhibitors and, you know, after 5 years grew to 100. And this is how I built my family. You know, there's so many people that over the course of 5 years, I love them. They then, you know, we then published books together. We're growing up together in these incredible ways. And it was, you know, it took a lot of like thoughts together and risk taking to get to those places. And I'm really inspired to know that like this work continues, you know, that the different scales are really important, you know, and that that the communities are, you know, they are continually kind of growing and building and expanding. And I guess, you know, I kind of apologize. I had to just step away just for one moment, but I just wanted to like also, I guess, maybe I can write this to you guys personally. Like I had some of my own like really kind of thinkings, thoughts about like how to you know, understand how fees function within artist book fairs, you know, at various scales. And you know, in my role now, it's very different because of I don't know if we can get into it, but I'd be, interested in kind of being part of those conversations, continuing to be part of those conversations if there's room, and also sharing my experiences with, funding and also kind of distribution of how fees can be distributed. So anyway, I'm really grateful for this conversation and for everyone who's joining us who has, so much to contribute. There's so many people here who have kind of worked on productions like these, and so it's wonderful to know that community is out there.
Thank you so much for having us. This has been like such a highlight of my week. Glad to spend the evening with y'all.
Yeah, thank you, Sanel and Sunny, inviting us.
Let's continue the conversation.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Are y'all going to download the chat?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
I'm gonna
That's
download the chat and I'll send it to you.
awesome.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, we